Testing, testing, 1, 2, testing, testing. Testing, testing, 1, 2, testing, testing. Perfect. And we're live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to BWTM Sport. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. I appreciate it. All right, now, big fight tonight. Anthony Joshua versus Carlos Takam. Hercules returns. I think that's kind of where I look at it now. Hercules. You know, this larger than life character, quite literally, Anthony Joshua, whose career best win is against Vladimir Klitschko, a guy who hadn't fought for almost 2 years, has been celebrated like, gets the comer of age, beating a guy who basically, when he fought Tyson Fury, had seen better days when Fury had beaten him. But 2 years later, he's a better fighter. Well, you know how I feel about this, so I'm not really going to go too much into it. I'll take nothing away from Anthony Joshua. But I always say Vladimir Klitschko lost that fight rather than Anthony Joshua won that fight. We all know in round 5, Joshua was a complete spent force. And we also know at the end of the fight that we discovered that Vladimir Klitschko was instructed by his brother to take Joshua into later rounds. But regardless of the excuses, Joshua is the champion. He's the unified champion, and that we have to give credit for. And you've got to give credence to that. But there's one thing with giving credit, and there's another thing where you're ignoring the cracks and ignoring the flaws. Now, there's a few things I want boxing fans to look at and consider. If you look across boxing media generally today, a lot of people will just jump on a bandwagon and follow what everyone else is saying. Look at everyone else's channel. Oh, he's backing him. Well, I'll say the same thing as well. I suppose thinking, okay, let me look at this fight. Let me break this fight down. There's a lot of repeaters in the world of boxing today, and very few people will break down a fight. And even if you get a prediction wrong, it's better you try to come to your own conclusions and have your own thought and see how much you do understand the game of boxing, or at least the dynamics of the sport and what you're expecting to see, rather than just saying, "Oh, guy's going to get blasted out in a couple of rounds," and that's it. Because if you listen to a lot of people and a lot of people in the comment section, if you ask them to do a prediction video and fights wouldn't go 3 rounds. If you listen to the amount of predictions across and comment in the comment section, fights wouldn't go 3 rounds. Some fights wouldn't even go 1 round. You know, Ali probably wouldn't have got out the first round against George Foreman back in the day. But boxing doesn't work that way, and we've discovered that. And the word upset is in the dictionary for a purpose and a reason. And for those people who are asking beforehand, yes, we will be covering the fight live via audio commentary. Hopefully tonight, Google will not let us down, and Vodafone in Ireland won't let us down either and decide to suddenly disconnect. Other than that, we will be live doing the audio commentary for the fight. So that there's a question answered there. I'm not reading the chat section at the moment. I will do afterwards, but I just want to get my thoughts out of my mind. So, okay, back to Anthony Joshua. This is anytime you seem to talk about a fighter which is popular, a fighter that has got almost God status in a lot of people's minds for doing very little. For me, I've noticed that you ultimately become a hater. The word hater has been very much misused and misunderstood. And for me, if you're going to use a name, you put it in its proper sense. You give a guy credit for what he's done. Listen, you credit a man for getting off the canvas. You credit a man for getting in the ring and putting on a pair of gloves. You credit a man for standing up and taking on the Klitschko fight when he didn't have to take on the Klitschko fight. Those are the things I give Joshua credit for. And, things like, well, he's a criminal. He's a criminal. I've heard that a lot of times. Well, he's doing things the way he's doing them. He's in the ring now, and he's doing the business. So you can't knock him. And his rise in heavyweight boxing has been phenomenal. It's been great, and he's been well matched and all the rest of it. And he's making the most of it. Listen, him and his management team are doing a fabulous job in terms of marketing him, whether it be on water, whether it be on aftershave, whether it be deodorant, whether it be in shopping centers, whether it be on ice lollies. Listen, Anthony Joshua's name, well, at least in the UK, it is everywhere. His branding is everywhere. So every sponsor is getting a piece of Anthony Joshua, to the point where this fight had to happen. It had to happen. Even if he was fighting Joe Bloggs, it had to happen. These sponsors need to see their money invested. They need to see their money. You need to see what they get. You know, their money's worth. They need to have a night out. You know, these sponsors. You know, they chuck your money at Joshua, and to them it probably doesn't mean much. But to be able to have a good night out and mix with others and make other business deals while they're there as well, hey, it's great. And to see their product being advertised one way or the other, they like that stuff. A lot of people in boxing or talk about boxing don't understand the marketing element of things. And this is key when you're talking about someone like Joshua. You know, we don't see it as much with Mayweather, because Mayweather, for whatever reason, sponsorship wasn't something with him. But with Joshua, huge thing, lots of sponsorship with Joshua. I don't see Golovkin getting this sort of sponsorship, believe it or not. Despite all the talk about Golovkin, I don't think Golovkin is as managed as well as Joshua. And Golovkin's done far more in his career than Joshua has at the moment, to be fair, just being honest. But anyway, back to my point about Joshua. So there's a lot of things to like about Anthony Joshua. Articulate, says what he's got to say, you know, in the gym all the time, seems to look the part and do everything that seems right. But there are flaws and there are cracks. And it's those cracks that concern me. It's almost like it's almost an I told you so situation, you know. For example, and I'll give you two examples. I'll give you one perfect example here for you to look at. If you look at the Dillian Whyte fight and you look at the Klitschko fight, they're carbon copies in a sense of what happens when Joshua gets hurt and how he gets hurt. Joshua, on both fights, Dillian Whyte and Klitschko, had his opponent in a lot of trouble. Dillian Whyte, he thought he was going to get him out of there in the second round, if you remember. He was pushing the attack, pushing the action, and then got clipped with a counter left hook. If you go and look at the Klitschko fight, what starts the problem for him? It's actually a counter left hook. It's a left hook. It's actually a left hook in between. When Joshua's attacking, Klitschko lands a huge left hook on Anthony Joshua, stiffens him, and then you see the big right hand over the top. But it's the left hook that started the trouble. And I still think, up till this day, people say Anthony Joshua's getting better. Well, how do you know he's getting better? What, he blew out Molina? Yeah, well, did Molina come with any ambition to win the fight? I said, if you go back at my pre-fight about Molina, I said, if in the first 30 seconds, if Molina's got any intentions, he's going to take a step forward in this fight. If he's got no intentions, he'll back straight to ropes. And what did Joshua do? 2 rounds, kind of let him just played with him, and the 3rd round took him out of there. Because Molina came with no intention to win. The 2 guys that came with intention to win, you know, Molina, what's his name again? Klitschko and Dillian Whyte were 2 guys who actually put it on Joshua. They put it on Joshua, which means he had to fight back. It's very different to somebody like, and even in a sense, but Brazil, although he was pretty slow of hand and foot, Brazil did try to take the fight to Joshua, and you got to give him credit for that. But he took a lot of punishment in the process. Then comes Carlos Takam. Carlos Takam, you know, he fought against Joseph Parker and put him a very good performance against Parker, and gave Parker, for my money at the time, the toughest fight of his career. Pushed Parker back, gave him uncomfortable moments, roughed him up, and used his size well against, you know, a fairly big heavyweight that could punch in Parker. Then we had the Povetkin knockout, and people do look at that Povetkin knockout, but I always say, you know, we all know that Povetkin was on something that night. We all know it. So he knocked at Takam in the 10th round. So he didn't stop Takam in the 1st round, didn't blow him away in the 2nd round, didn't blow him away in the 3rd round. It was a good competitive fight. Same as the Parker fight, didn't blow him away in the 1st round. So Takam now comes in this fight, looks in fighting shape, but from what I've been told, he's had 9 days to prepare. Well, it's shameful if he's had 9 days to prepare and he causes the upset. Look, I still think, regardless of what anybody tells me, Carlos Takam is a far better fight than Kubrat Pulev. I'll explain why. Styles make fights, you hear it. And I'm not just going to say it. I'm going to break it down why they're 2 different fighters. Look at Kubrat Pulev. Stiff, upright, throws the jab, and allows you time to get into a rhythm. think about what you're doing. You know, pop a jab, look at Pulev, jab, Pulev throw a jab, you look at Pulev, you throw a jab, you look, you might throw a right hand over the top, you take your time, you take a step back, you block a Pulev jab, you throw a right. It's everything is in your own time and season with Pulev, okay? And Kubrat Pulev really only comes with a jab. Pulev's not known for his big right hand. He's known for his jab. And I always said Pulev's like a fencer. And of course, Pulev, his reputation has really been damaged severely by that knockout defeat to Vladimir Klitschko, which a lot of people will look at and say, oh, you got chinned by Klitschko. Okay. Then you look at Takam. Takam's a guy that likes to fight big men, likes to get on the inside. He gets about his business. Takam's only got one way of fighting, almost like Kubrat Pulev. Only one way of fighting. Come forward and bring the action to you. He's a bring the action to you. The guys that bring the action to Joshua are most likely the guys that is going to be one of those type of guys that's going to beat Joshua. Not a guy that's going to step off and be on the end of his punches and the end of his right hand, the end of his jab. Those guys, I don't think beat Joshua. It's a guy that's going to bring the fight to Joshua and try and get on the inside. Klitschko's left hook was on the inside. You know, Dillian Whyte's fight was on the inside. The left hook that troubled him. And if Takam's going to have any success, it's on the inside. I don't buy this crap that Joshua is a great fighter on the inside. I don't buy the hype that Joshua fights brilliantly off the back foot. I don't buy that. I think he's a unit and he's powerful on the outside or mid-range. I'm not sure what he's like up close, and I'm not sure if anybody can give me any evidence that Joshua can fight off the back foot at a pace with that weight. Now, he was heavy when he fought Klitschko, and we saw how he was gassing against Klitschko in the 5th round. And it seems when Joshua gets hurt, it seems he's like a video game. He gets hurt, and all his energy goes down like energy bars, goes down to 0. So far, nobody's actually capitalized on it and finished it off. Dillian Whyte was injured at the time. As I said that before the fight, with the injured shoulder going into that fight and unfit. And then you have Klitschko, who at the time decided not to capitalize on it because, hey, look, you know what? My brother says, wait a little longer. He's heavy. We'll take him out late down the stretch. It backfired. It miscalculated. And Klitschko should have taken the advantage of the situation. Now we have Carlos Takam. Can he take advantage of the situation? I don't know. How big a puncher is Carlos Takam? Well, he punches hard enough. He punches hard enough to knock guys out. Does he punch hard enough to hurt Joshua? I'm not sure. But I ask boxing fans this question. If this fight goes late, with Joshua weighing his heaviest ever, and Joshua's pushed back, and of course Joshua generates all his power off the front foot. He's a front foot fighter. I'm not sure Joshua generates the same power off the back foot. I mean, I don't know what fight you can tell me where Joshua's generated power off his back foot. A guy that's short and stocky like Takam, that's brought the fight to Joshua and put the pressure on Joshua. You can't compare Dillian Whyte because Dillian Whyte's fights at a different pace. You know, Takam's behind his jab. He's busy. He's making you think about your punch. He's not giving you time to think. Whereas with a Kubrat Pulev's going to give you time to think and place your punches. So Joshua's going to be carrying logging a lot of weight around the ring. And if Takam is in any sort of shape, and if Takam has come with any sort of determination to win the World Heavyweight Championship, there's 2 Carlos Takams that can turn up tonight. I don't know which one's going to turn up. Is that the Carlos Takam that's fighting for the biggest fight of his career, and he's a millionaire? He's going to be a millionaire, and you know the money's good enough, and he'll just come and just fall over the first time he gets hit. Or is it B, Carlos Takam that doesn't give a damn? He's a millionaire, but says, you know what? I could be a multi-millionaire by beating Anthony Joshua. If it's that Carlos Takam, and he actually has been in good shape, and he has been in training despite the nine days notice, and he has been in the gym and ticking over, and he has got some fitness, then hey, Carlos Takam for 5 rounds could be an absolute nightmare for Anthony Joshua. And I think, personally, his style is all wrong for Anthony Joshua. Fights on the inside, busy, sets a work rate, sets a high tempo, and with a guy like that, you know, how do those muscles react to fighting a very fast tempo? Klitschko fought at a tempo, but this is a 41-year-old fighting at a tempo versus a younger, fresher guy in Takam who's going to fight at a tempo. And that's what he normally does. That's all Takam knows. Come forward, busy. I'll give you another example. Bruno. And I use this as a perfect example. Bruno was brilliant when you could let him use the jab, stay on the outside, give that big booming right hand. But his biggest problem when he fought Mike Tyson was able to slip inside the jab, get on the inside, and make it ugly for Bruno. Rip him inside with uppercuts and not allow Frank to settle with the jab. When Frank was able to settle the jab and get the right hand, he landed good shots. But Tyson kept on him like a buzzsaw, on him all the time. What made Joe Frazier so good? Joe Frazier, again, a smaller heavyweight, squat, got in the inside, didn't give Ali a chance to settle, to think, to put things together. And if you've boxed before, you understand the dynamics of a guy when he's on you all the time, doesn't give you the time to think. You're having to think twice as fast as you normally would do. And if you haven't got experience of doing that often, and that's not the guy you were preparing to fight in the first place, that causes problems. Kubrat Pulev and Takam are completely two different fighters from two different galaxies as far as I'm concerned. And that makes this fight very dangerous. And I've said, if Joshua can keep Takam on the outside of that jab and that ping him with that right hand, oh, it's an easy night for Anthony Joshua. Easy night. But he's not Muhammad Ali. He's not going to dance around the ring. And if he does decide to do that, then fall for him, because that's going to gas him out. So Carlos Takam has got to be from round one, doubling up the jab very fast. If Takam decides, I'm telling you now, within the first minute, we're going to know what Carlos Takam is about. If Takam decides in the first minute to take it on his back foot and decide to box Joshua from the outside, forget it. Takam's getting absolutely smashed. Absolutely smashed if he decides to do that. But if Takam can get doubling up the jab and runs out the corner for the first round, literally, and doubles up the jab and fights at a hard pace, a fast, hard pace for 5 rounds and pushes Joshua, there could be some problems in there, because the muscle, I keep saying muscle mass, lactic acid, and what is Joshua like? You see, again, range, if Takam can get inside and not allow Joshua to land them big booming shots, then it nullifies Joshua's punching power. Doesn't allow him to get leverage to land them big shots. But we know he's got a nice little uppercut inside. But again, that's Klitschko. This is a guy that's coming with a lower range, and it's a very different situation. So these are the things that concern me about Carlos Takam. His range, what he's coming in, his style. And I think, personally, he's not the type of guy that I'd be putting Anthony Joshua in now with. And if Joshua wins his fight off the back foot at a hard pace, listen, that's another great, it'd be a great win, I think, for Joshua. He can do off the back foot. I really do think it's a great win. And I will give credit to Joshua doing it off the back foot with Takam pushing the pressure on him. That I'll give him credit for. There's not much credit for me, Takam being knocked out in the first round when he's gone off the back foot, because that to me is not the Takam that I know. But if he's doing it on the front foot of fighting busy and he's pushing the pressure, putting the pressure on, that's a great win for Anthony Joshua, because he's doing it against a different style. Lennox Lewis had to use different styles to become world heavyweight. He had to fight different styles, even when he was world heavyweight champion. And I look at Takam's style kind of like Evander Holyfield, because he's not like a complete bus, always moving his head like a Tyson. He's got that kind of thing where he kind of stands in the pocket with you like Holyfield and puts punches together. So he's kind of that, and he's built that way as well. But I like Carlos Takam. I like what he brings to the fight. I like the energy that he has. And like I said, it's what mentality Takam comes with. If Takam comes in the mentality that he's coming to fight and he's coming to rip up and become a unified champion, boy, have we got a fight in our hands. And boy, have a lot of boxing fans got this fight wrong. Because whereas people think he's going to get blown away in a couple of rounds, I think if Takam's in there the second half of the fight and Joshua hasn't got Takam out of there, something has gone badly wrong. And I am sure I heard Joshua say, or his camp say, that he was going to be lighter for this fight. He's much heavier. So I don't know. I really don't know. I could be pulling strings out of thin air here. But at the same time, these are the two options I think that can happen in this fight. Takam certainly will not win this fight on points, I don't think. If Takam's going to win the fight, he wins the fight by knockout. And I think it's going to be more out of exhaustion rather than, I don't know. But that's where I'm seeing him. Let me hear what people are thinking and see what's saying in the room. Of course, I expect the general the general Joshua fans to say, things like he's the best thing since sliced bread, he's this and he's that, and he's, you know, and they won't look at the cracks. This is a guy that's been dropped already. This is a guy that's been hurt numerous occasions, you know, and people overlook those things. And I don't overlook at those things in boxing. I kind of keep my mind on things like that because I think to myself, well, you know what? If he can get hurt with the left hook before, he can get hurt with the left hook again. And he don't think he's learnt his mistake. And that left hook is a problem. Because it's when he's on the attack, Joshua, remember. It's not when he's just normally boxing, it's when he tries to push the action and force the situation. That's when Joshua's getting hurt. And I don't like the fact he's coming so heavy. But hey. Okay, that's what people are saying. Callie Hartley says, what's happening with the weight? 18 stone plus is ridiculously heavy. Maybe not tonight, but that could be a real problem further down the line against somebody who isn't 38 with a good game plan. See, being 38, you know, you can look at that as a negative and you can look at it as a positive. This guy's 38 years old in the heavyweight division, isn't that old. He's experienced. He knows what it takes to win a fight. You know what? First world title fight, I think it's Carlos Takam, isn't it? So, hey, I don't think there's anything wrong with the age. As long as he's active and can do what he's doing, you know. AJ papered over all the cracks with that uppercut in the 11th. Suddenly, everyone had memory loss regarding the previous 10 and how close he came to losing. Well, I've got no memory loss for that. And those are the things I'm talking about. And you see a lot of the media paint over the cracks. If you listen to the media and you listen to a lot of people, they'll just paper over the cracks and they just want to get views on their channel, not be disliked, not say anything that's out of tune or out of point, and they just want to just paper over the cracks. And when things go wrong, then they become haters. Oh, I told you so. I'm not being a hater. I'm just saying, look, I'm seeing it with my own eyes. Did he get hurt? Yes, he got hurt. Did he get dropped? Yes, he get hurt. Dropped. Did he get dropped? Did he get hurt by the same left hook? Was the same left hook that Dillian Whyte hit him with? More or less, yes. Left hook. Same punch. Go back and look at it. Go back and look at the punch that started it. Takam throws a decent left hook himself. So the left hook is a key there. It's one thing when you're dictating a fight and you're bullying an opponent. It's another thing when the opponent's putting it on you. And let's go back to the amateurs for a second. It was that sort of style that gave Joshua nightmares. Pulling straight back from punches, getting caught with big left hooks. It was that same sort of style that gave Joshua nightmares. And I have to say, I don't think Joshua's gotten bigger since the amateurs. I don't know if he's become better since the amateurs. He's gotten bigger. Better? I don't know. I don't know. Hello. Is there anyone out there watching apart from me? Well, you know, a lot of people are not going to comment, I guess. The difference is Bruno was very stiff. Listen, Bruno had a brilliant left jab. And you can say what you want about Bruno. Bruno fought Bron Crutcher-Smith, Tim Witherspoon, Oliver McCall, Mike Tyson twice. He fought the who's who of boxing. So, you know, Bruno, people are very quick to dismiss Frank Bruno, but Bruno fought some of the best heavyweights in the world. Lennox Lewis, I mean, he was putting it on Lennox Lewis. And Lennox Lewis is considered an all-time great, is he not? And that was Lennox in his prime, was it not? And Emmanuel Stewart. Well, no, he was one of the Pepper Correa at the time, actually. Not mobile. Stop ranting, BWTM. I'm not ranting, mate. I'm having a chat. If you don't like it, go elsewhere. This is first possible upset for Joshua, in my opinion. Joshua too heavy. I got Joshua by KO, but Joshua coming in too heavy. I keep saying it. I keep on saying it. This is not a rant. This is not a rave. This is just a point. If you understand what I'm trying to say, like I said, I'm not apologetic. If you don't like what I say, you can dislike me and you can also subscribe to my channel. Because as far as I'm concerned, subscribe to the channel. Because as far as I'm concerned, at this point, it's just a point where I'm sort of fed up with people that just won't listen to logic. Fed up of talking to people who just want to say Joshua's the best thing since sliced bread. If you want to hear that, then I'm sorry. It's a huge disservice to other fighters in the heavyweight world to say that he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. Not dismissing Bruno, great jab, but was stiff fighter and not one-dimensional. Well, we can't tell me that Joshua's two-dimensional, three-dimensional. What makes Joshua two-dimensional, three-dimensional? Same thing, double jab, right hand, come forward. Let's see him do something two-dimensional, three-dimensional. Will be him fighting against a guy that puts pressure on him on the back foot. Let's see how he deals with that. Let's see if he copes with it any better than he did in the amateur days. When you have so much muscle, it must seriously make him gas. This is the thing that I'm saying. People try and defy logic and defy science. And these are the things that have to be these things have to be considered. Listen, this is something I'm suggesting to most boxing guys. Listen, stick a 20 quid on Takam. You may lose 20 quid, but think about how much you would gain. I mean, every fight with Joshua now, you're at the it's a bonanza every time. Every time you got a Joshua fight, it's a lottery. You stick a 20 quid on, there's a big pot, there's a possibility every time that somebody's gonna get lucky. He displays a wide range of movements. More combination goes to the body as much to the head. Against who though? Against who? Against who? Against who? Bruno had the hardest jab in boxing back in the day. He did as well. Against who? Vladimir Klitschko, 2 years out of the ring against a guy that was washed up when Tyson Fury fought him. Come on. You put 20 quid down, you win 500 pounds. Look, that sounds good to me. You lose 20 quid, right? Or you gain 500 pounds the next day. That sounds not bad to me. I don't care what anybody tells me about Frank Bruno. Lennox Lewis struggled with the same stiff Frank Bruno. He struggled with the same stiff Frank Bruno. Lennox Lewis, in history, struggled against Frank Bruno. I was on the verge of losing to Frank Bruno, if you remember that fight, until he pulled that left hook. And Brusher, just like Bruno, when he gets hit and he gets hurt, the tank goes down to empty. We've had the warning signs already. We've had the warning signs already. And every fighter, particularly in the heavyweight division, gives you a warning sign. Price gave us the warning signs when Matt Skelton put the pressure on him. Okay? He gave us the warning signs. Won a fight, 2 fights later, was it the fight later? Got knocked out by Tony Thompson. Lennox Lewis gave us the warning signs. Loading up on the right hand too much. What happened? Manny Stewart came in, took the right hand away. Lewis gets knocked out. There are warning signs. There are warning signs within fighters that if they're not addressed and not dealt with, they come back to revisit that fighter. So I don't want to hear any excuses afterwards about AJ. Oh, he was too big. I don't want to hear excuses afterwards. And I'm not just talking about the Takam fight because I don't know what sort of shape Takam comes in. I don't know because I haven't had time to be in the camp and see what's been going on. But it's just in this division, particularly heavyweight division, is a very, and as Adam Scott puts it right here, it's a very unforgiving division. And one mistake caused by too much weight, one mistake caused by using a jab instead of trying to knock a guy out of there, one mistake. And Takam's that kind of guy that will leap. He's the kind of guy that while you're attacking him will leap with a left hook. He's one of them type of guys. Do you know what I mean? One mistake and you could be out of there. And it's not like Joshua hasn't been hurt. He's not been dropped. It's not like in sparring you haven't heard that he's been hurt and dropped and put out in sparring. It's not like you haven't heard things. It's not like you haven't seen it in the amateurs where guys of that sort of Takam style have caused Joshua nightmares. It's not like you haven't seen it. It's out there. Agree. It's an unforgiving division. I just go, what round you got AJ winning, bro? Listen, I ain't got no AJ winning nothing. I got no Takam winning nothing because if a man comes in, he's only got 9 days notice, and I don't know what you can do in that. Listen, it's a lottery with Takam. You put, like I said, you put £20 down with Takam, you might get £500 back. It's one of them. I got AJ winning third. Yeah. If listen to me. Like I said before, if Carl in the first minute you're gonna know where this fight is heading. If Carlos Takam in the first minute decides to backing up onto the ropes the first round, then hell, you know that Josh is winning this fight inside 3. If Carlos Takam comes out double behind that double jab and comes out like the business we know that Takam can do, like the Takam that fought Parker, if he comes in that sort of way, we've got a good fight in our hands. So please, I got AJ winning the third. Not happening, mate. Well, listen, I understand that AJ fandom. I understand. I get it. EJ Box, and I get it. People are hyped with AJ, but there are flaws there. He wasn't that fight against Dillian Whyte. I go back to it, and I'll say it again. The Klitschko fight. We've been given the warning signs. 2 fights with 2 guys have put it on him. And both times his legs have gone to wood. He's gone wooden. His energy levels have gone down to that point, and nobody's followed up on that situation so far. It's there. Please, he's not winning, mate. Well, you know, upsets are in the boxing, the world of boxing for a reason, and there is a logical reason why he can win the fight. He's in the ring. He's got 2 fists, and you know he can punch. So there's a chance he can win the fight. Will he win the fight? I don't know. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you, Takam's a bum. He's going to get knocked out. I'm not going to tell you that. I've spent the time to break down why I think Takam can win the fight and how he would win the fight. If he is to win the fight, it is, you know, what does Joshua do in a tough fight where a guy's got him on the back foot and put pressure on him and has got putting pressure on him and making him miss and making him pay? Now, if somebody can pull up video footage of Joshua winning off the back foot with the guy who's hustling and bustling and forcing him to put punches out against his own will, if people can show me that in his career, since he's fought so far in his career, if people can bring that video up to me, great. Then, yeah, I could see, well, that's the fight there. He did that. But nobody can show me a video of that because Dillian Whyte doesn't fight that way. Klitschko doesn't fight that way. Melina doesn't fight that way. Charles Martin certainly doesn't fight that way. In fact, nobody that Joshua's fought up to this date fights like Carlos Takam. Carlos Takam is a unique situation. It's a unique situation. And so therefore, because oh dear. And because of this situation, we have a different fight on our hands. Listen, Carlos Takam may run into Joshua and he might hit a brick wall. He may well do that. And that may happen as well. But I'm not just going to sit there and say, oh, yeah, hi, this is BWTM Sports. Joshua's going to go in there and he's going to blast Takam out in a couple of rounds. Thank you very much. Goodbye. I'm not going to do that. I've given you some logical reasons as to why, I think that this fight could be a great fight. And in the second half of a fight, when Joshua's shot his load and Takam's coming on to him more, and he hasn't taken as many punches as people think he has, then what happens? You know, there are different ways to look at the fight. I understand people think, oh, Josh is going to blow him out a couple rounds. And I get it. I understand. But, you know, we'll see. Oh, EJ, Boxing Live, just a warning. No caps in the room. We have something called Nightbot. It's a moderator. It's an automatic moderator, and anybody can have it. That's mainly for people who may put in racist comments or may shout or do things like that. So it's an automatic thing that deletes messages. It's not me who's doing it. It's actually something called Nightbot. I would advise anybody who does live streams to install Nightbot. You can go on YouTube and how to get it. Install Nightbot. It keeps away a lot of the creepies. Not that I'm suggesting you're creepy, by the way, AJ. I'm glad to see you in the room. Heavy AJ wouldn't beat Wilder. Well, there we go. I don't really know why Rob McCracken hasn't said anything to Joshua about too much muscle since the Klitschko fight. Don't know. I don't know. I don't know why he's bulking up more. I think maybe they're thinking that the heaviness will somehow make him better against Takam. I don't know. Maybe the heaviness was because of the Pulev fight and they couldn't shift it off. They were really training for the Pulev fight. Takam has to cut the distance, make it ugly. He just can't brawl into Joshua's right hand. Yeah, that's it. I mean, yeah, there's some logic right there, Adam. That's what I'm talking about. Takam's got to, that's where the experience comes in with someone like Takam. You know, he's an experienced fighter. You know, I just want to know if Takam's speed, his movement, you know, his foot speed, is that going to cause Joshua problems? Can he cause problems? Can he get on the inside? We will have to wait and see. Right, before I go, some videos for you to listen to or watch. We did a live interview of Stavern yesterday talking about, you know, when he lost the title, the work he's done in Haiti. Very interesting. It wasn't an interview, it was a talk. So have a listen to that. A lot of insight in that. And then I spoke to a guy called Ray Robinson, who in his mind, or as he said, he beat the shit out of Danny Garcia. It's a hilarious interview. That is an interview. Hilarious interview from a guy from Philadelphia called Ray Robinson. That actually is his name. Check him out. have a listen to it. And I think I might just come back and do a Stavern versus Wilder further thoughts video. I think is necessary. Right, I'll be back shortly. And of course, good luck to Anthony Joshua tonight. Of course, people want to see him maintain the title and get a fight against Deontay Wilder. So of course, he has to win the fight. So no hating there. I wish the best of both fighters tonight. And, you know, no reason for me to be hating on any fighter. Both guys, I wish them the best. And I actually hope it's a fantastic fight tonight. It needs to be, because the pay-per-view card has sadly been reduced. Before I go, I should talk about Helenius versus Dillian Whyte. A lot of talk about Dillian Whyte, the body snatcher. A lot of talk about him. He should be fighting for a world title, and he should be doing this, and Whyte should be fighting Wilder. And I know these people talk about Dillian Whyte. I like Dillian. I like his character. I'm not sure if Eddie Hearn is the promoter for Dillian Whyte. I'd like to see a promoter that really believes in his fighter a bit more. The Helenius fight has come up. Now, up to this point in Dillian Whyte's career, I have to say that I haven't been totally impressed with his career up to this point. I didn't think he beat Chisora. The David Allen fight was okay. The the Lewison fight was okay. So he really has to shine against Robert Helenius, a guy who can punch, a guy who can box a bit. And, you know, when people talk about Robert Helenius, if you remember, Robert Helenius was meant to be the second coming of the Klitschko's, and he was the big white hope. You remember Robert Helenius? Listen, Robert Helenius, is a good fighter. He's a good fighter. I'm not sure how good Dillian Whyte actually is. And tonight, for me, is that test where we can find out actually how good Dillian Whyte is. I'm not as confident in Dillian Whyte as a lot of people are. Oh, Dillian Whyte's going to blow Helenius out of there. Well, I'm not as confident as that as a lot of people are. If Helenius beat Dillian Whyte, I wouldn't be surprised. And I hate to say that, because I haven't seen Dillian Whyte do anything that's made me sit up and say, yeah, definitely. He definitely should get a fight against Wilder. You know, so I'm just being honest. I think Dillian Whyte's a good fighter. I'm not sure why all this hype of Dillian Whyte is. I think he's a good fighter, but I'd like to see a step in the right direction is beating a guy like Robert Helenius, because beating a guy like Robert Helenius is okay, right? Robert Helenius, well, he got beat by this guy, but he has beaten this guy, and you got a kind of form book with Robert Helenius, and he's not connected to Anthony Joshua. So good, and this is the sort of fights that Dillian Whyte needs to have to make his own pathway in the heavyweight division. So good for Dillian Whyte. I wish him all the best tonight against Robert Helenius, and hope he does do the business against Helenius tonight, because it does make more for an anticipated rematch between himself and Joshua. And also, we get to see him against a tall guy before he may challenge against against Deontay Wilder, should Wilder beat Stavern. Right, I'm out here. I'll speak to you all soon regarding Stavern Wilder 2.